Hello, everyone. I'm Brad Mroz, and I lead strategic partnerships for Insight Global. Throughout my career, I've had the pleasure of witnessing multiple technology shifts, as well as helping clients navigate those shifts. And we're brought together today to have a conversation on one of the biggest shifts that's happening right before us, the expansion of data centers required by massive AI needs in the market today. With us, we have our industry experts from high tech, energy and utilities, and telecom. Gentlemen, we'd love to hear your background, introduce yourselves, and a little bit more on what you're seeing before we kick off.
Sure thing, Brad, thanks. I'm Cecil Stokes. I'm our industry principal for the technology sector. For about 15 years of my career, I've been helping clients optimize the value that the tech sector brings from enterprise products and consumer products. Also helping some of those tech companies build and support those products and leading technology services practices. Earlier in my career, I was in a data center practice where we focused on helping clients optimize data centers, even migrate data centers, and then move out of those data centers into hyperscalers. So it's funny to see the conversation come around full circle and in a more intense way than ever. Like grandparents talking about data centers. That was not the case 10 years ago. I did not know data centers were so interesting, but it's a fun full circle moment for my background and experience as our industry principal for tech.
Right. My name is Kaveh Aflaki. I've been into the energy and utility industry for over 2 decades now. And within the Insight Global, I am helping with serving all the utilities and energy customers from the partnership and the go-to-market strategy, and supporting all the professional services that we are offering them. By education, I have a PhD in electrical engineering, an MBA, and during last 2 decades, I have seen the energy industry moving fast enough to require different type of the skill set. But in last year or two, introducing the AI and the data centers literally changed the game because of the load growth and energy consumption. So it's an interesting time to be in.
Thank you, Kaveh. My name is Carlos. I'm heading the telecom industry practice here in Insight Global. My mission is to help our customers to transform and grow one of the most fast-moving and mission-critical industries, telecom. Been working in the industry for more than 25 years. At the beginning, with some of the global service providers, telecom service providers, then some of the leading vendors, and then even having my own company. And I can tell you, I've been part of the people deploying technologies like internet, 3G, 4G, 5G, and the amount of disruption those technologies created. If I look back into AI and the potential of AI, are going to be looking really small against what we're going to be seeing in the next few years. So it's an amazing time to be in this industry.
Incredible. Well, let's dive in. Let's kick things off by starting at the top. What's happening in the market? I think you're seeing incredible investment from obviously high tech, utilities as well, powering energy, and telecom bringing it to the consumers. But to get started, really, you're seeing this investment across build outs, across powering, across cooling, and resiliency and scalability. Cecil, why don't you get us started in terms of some of the industry trends you're seeing in your world?
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about really who started this whole thing. And it's the tech builders, the model builders, and the hyperscalers. I mean, what's incredible about this new era of AI technology, because AI is not brand new. Right? We were handling AI on older infrastructure loads long before ChatGPT kind of shook up the scene on the main stage. But now the density of compute required to train these models is something that we hadn't experienced before. So it's whole new technology being put out there in order to do the training and then to do the inferencing. When people like us type a prompt in, what needs to happen in that data center for that prompt to spit that beautiful answer back out at us. And to give a little bit of comparison, the old data center high density compute rack, it's like the cabinet that's got all the servers in it, the network equipment, all that. It would pull, let's say, X amount of wattage in order to run. The high density compute for AI is pulling over 6X that. The rack weighs over twice as much and costs over 10 times as much. It's completely different technology. The cooling requirements we're not talking hot aisles and cold aisles in a data center anymore. I mean, there is no comparison of heat generated from an NVIDIA GB200 or GB300, the main data center scalable AI compute product being put out to market now, and what used to be a rack full of blade servers with a network, with the switch sitting at the top of it. We're talking night and day infrastructure, night and day requirements of the data center, and now data centers are looking completely different, and the world of the infrastructure surrounding the data center looks different now too.
Oh yeah, looking into all this layered pyramid from top to the bottom, we have all these AI applications, then the AI models with ChatGPT started, now Gemini, Grok, and different entries into the market. And then right below that one is all the GPUs, and then the infrastructure of the data centers. And looking into the backbone of this infrastructure are the telecom and the energy. You mentioned all these GPUs using about like 6 times more energy. Let me just give you a perspective, because we call them phantom loads. They're not large loads anymore, phantom loads. The average data center use about, like for AI, about 1 gigawatt of energy. Let's put it on a perspective. 1 gigawatt is enough energy to power 800,000 to 1 million houses. So 1 gigawatt data center is equal to powering 1 million houses. And that's amount of the energy now you really need. Basically, it is shaking the whole grid infrastructure for utilities, for power generations, for everybody within the regulation side of this game, that how we are going to power this demand for the phantom loads. It is doubling, if not tripling in some areas just within the US, looking into the Virginia area and looking into the growth within the Texas. It's predicted that we are going to need by 2030 about 300 gigawatt of energy for all these data centers. But let's talk about the investment. Investment goes into at this point, more planning phase for the transmission and power generations. There are legacy ones on the power generations that has been generated power, now looking into how to bring more gas turbines, which are the fast and reliable, and the new nuclear ones with the technology innovative way, with the small modular reactives, but also understanding how they are going to recoup the ROI within this for all these investments. Those are the type of the name of the game going on within the energy industry at this point.
100%. I think when we come into investment, right? You look into the telecom industry, you know, the needs of connectivity are gigantic. You think about all these AI data centers, they need fast, reliable, low latency connectivity that has to scale in a massive proportion, right? And that's taking different customers in the industry are taking different approaches, right? You look into people like Lumen, right? That transforming themselves from being a legacy telco service provider into being an AI purpose-built infrastructure provider, where they are building a massive fiber network that is able to connect coast to coast, like all the data centers. I said that's a multi-billion investment, going back to your point, right? And how are we going to get the return on investment? And if you look in other players like Verizon, they just announced a deal with Amazon to connect all those data centers. And I think AT&T last week just announced their new connectivity offering for AI data centers called Express Waves, where they're claiming they can give you up to 400 megabits per second of connectivity in just 24 hours. I think I like your example about comparing, you know, normal regular homes versus these guys, right? You think about America, the average connectivity of any American home is around 300 megabits per second. AT&T and all the telcos are talking about up to 1.6 terabits per second of connectivity for those AI data centers. If you make the numbers, that means that is like more than 5,300 times more bandwidth for an AI data center than an average home. You multiply that by the number of AI data centers, and the scale is massive. The investment is massive, the complexity is massive, and is a huge challenge for our customers, right?
Right, it is. And in the energy side, it's called power for AI and AI for power. Literally now how we can utilize the AI for better service, better operation, higher customer satisfaction, and building the models for better predictive analytics. Like you mentioned, we used to use the AI for forecasting with the machine learning, all that, but now with the Gen AI and agentic AI, how to really utilize it within the engineering for the better model is also the name of the game for AI for the power.
Yeah, and I think for the tech industry, it's really interesting how AI is helping the infrastructure partner industries to both meet the demands, but also, you have to build the infrastructure to provide for the AI. So it's kind of, you got this two sides of the coin situation. What I see within the data center space, there's innovation happening there. And, I haven't seen as much where, AI is being used for building the data centers, but AI is being used to build models, to build stronger models, build better models, and to build models that use that infrastructure more efficiently. Just the difference in that game is, as that efficiency happens, production in the tech sector just gets higher. More demanding models get created. So more capacity is needed. There's more demand on your industry. It's not really a means of making the new ceiling we just invested in the right ceiling for a long term. It's a means of blowing through that ceiling and blowing out production and creating whole new demands on both of your industries. So it's kind of fun how AI is the name of the game for investment, and it's becoming the name of the game for making that investment a deeper investment in the future.
Yes, and I think if you think about the telecom industry, right, they're moving ahead and say, okay, I'm creating all this connectivity, but can I create my own AI infrastructure? Because they have an enterprise customer who really want to have control on how they use the technology and how that really get results out of that technology. You think about companies like Deutsche Telekom in Germany, right? They just announced a $1 billion investment together with NVIDIA to create an industrial vertical AI cloud for their enterprise customers. You think about Japan, SoftBank. They decided to move from NVIDIA to partner up with OpenAI because they want to have an AI-centric service offering that would call it crystal intelligence. So, I see in every industry, as you were saying, right? It's not only about building infrastructure, it's about using AI for your own kind of synergies, efficiencies, and creating new lines of revenue. So yeah, it's kind of impressive.
Yeah. 3 common things I heard: investment, rate of change, improving customer experience and service. It's so helpful to hear that and put that in context of how all these 3 industries are working together. On the investment topic and delivering on that capacity, how are some of your customers, because you work with some of the largest customers in the world every day, what are you hearing from the ground? What are they delivering on these challenges? And what are some of those early wins that they're getting from executing on the roadmap? Because we're talking billions of dollars here and a lot at stake. So what are you seeing?
So I'll start on the energy side, because on the energy, of course, the customers, the residentials, household customers, and small businesses, which are the commercial and industrial, are the key at this point. Introducing all these phantom loads, the reliability is a question, because keeping the grid reliable requires all these investments, but who's going to pay it back? The regulators really looking into how they are going to regulate it to make sure that, for example, in state of Ohio, they are looking into if hyperscaler submitting a data center, let's say 10 gigawatt, how they should or they must commit to a 12 years, 70% of that 10 gigawatt capacity to be able for the utility recoup and have an ROI on the investment, instead of increasing the rate for the customer. So those are the type of the wins for customers that we see, or state of Georgia, where we are in right now. They put a freeze on the rate case. They said, we are not going to increase the rates till 28 because it's already like close over 30% increase has happened in the last 24 months because of all these data center challenge.
Georgia resident, I can attest to that.
There you go.
Yeah.
And those are the type of the challenges and the wins in some cases, but the real wins are going to become for the customers when the regulators, like in California, they're looking how to introduce new rate cases just for the data centers so that the residentials pay less and they push all that recouping into the data center hyperscaler side. And those are the type of the, again, wins for customers, for utility, but when it comes into the planning, building, designing all the transmission line, new generations, still going on those challenges, and still they're looking for the industry itself within the utility is looking for more support.
I mean, if I take it from there, I think we have a lot of similarities when it comes to telecom, right? AI, is a tool for them to actually come up with that capacity to connect data centers, right? If they have to do it fast and they have to do it at a scale, but they're thinking like, okay, let's use AI, right? And I think you think about telecom service providers, these are huge organizations. We have a huge complexity to run a network of hundreds, thousands of nodes, right? And if they want to move fast and they want to create new services, new connectivity, they need to rely on things like AI. You look back into telecom, right? AT&T was one of the first companies to actually work with the Microsoft Azure OpenAI to create their own AI chatbot for their employees, right? And that was back to in 2023. If I look into other companies like T-Mobile, they were one of the founding members of AI Run Alliance, which is a group of companies who are working on how we can leverage AI to make radio access networks even better, to be able to scale and provide even better service. I'm talking about better service, right? I guess this is across all industries. And in telecom especially, we are obsessed to provide the best customer experience. I can recall the Verizon new CEO saying, we cannot satisfy our customers anymore. We have to delight them. And they again go back to how do I use AI to do that? All this infrastructure that I'm putting together for my customers, can I actually use it as well for my own benefit and create those efficiencies to become even a better partner for my customers? So, but I think that's something that I guess you see across all industries and technology as well, right?
Yeah, for technology right now, I mean, we're in the early stage of the monetization part of this cycle. I mean, we've been in heavy R&D for a while, where not a lot of companies were really looking for returns quite yet. In fact, for model builders, many of them are still forecasting 2027 is when profits are going to be seen. But for the biggest players like a Microsoft, where just that market positioning is where it is, look at their last few earnings calls and they're talking about success stories. And you talk to people in industry that are Microsoft shops, they are on board buying licensing for Copilot. So they're starting to see the actual returns on some of these investments. But like you mentioned, I mean, the investments are in the billions for individual entities. There was a report put out earlier this year that said that the infrastructure investment, just to support all this growth in AI demand, is going to be $5.2 trillion over the next 5 years, just tied to the AI piece. Other infrastructure investments are going to happen in the US, but $5.2 trillion over 5 years. And that's not fully accounting for the telecommunications side. That's really focused on energy, data center builders, and tech manufacturers. So like the investment numbers are astronomical, to the point where, I mean, you see the stories around like NVIDIA using GPUs as collateral for debt financing to build data centers with third-party companies that they're also investors in. Like the dollars required to push this forward are incredible, but the confidence that this is the way to go is just as high. And I think that's why you see 3 industries here all chips in on making this happen at incredible scale.
100%.
Yep.
So looking a little bit ahead and parsing out the future, if you will, won't give you a specific timeline requirement, but with the investment that's happening, I'm hearing innovation, the models are getting more proficient, they're getting more sophisticated, there's a need for more compute. To power that compute, you need significantly more energy. You're looking at new types of energy. It's exciting to hear the regulators are looking at creative ways to innovate on their side to not pass on rate increases to consumers. And I know those consumers are receiving a great experience because the telcos are bringing those products to them because everything is connected. What are you seeing in terms of the future for how this investment continues, where the investment in data center goes, and really how this is going to either help the consumer or help these companies provide a better experience across the board?
Sure. I can start there. I think that in the telecom industry, we clearly see this. The network is really the platform where we can build that distributed AI infrastructure, right? We do have 5G with the edge computing. We do have those capabilities for our customers' needs. And you go back to our session with the customers, right? Our enterprise customers are asking us, we want to deploy our own language models. We want to be able to take control of our own destiny. We want to be able to use our own data in a kind of a safe environment. And we want to be able to have something that is unique to us.
They want more
right?
control.
Exactly, right? Yeah. And you think about it, the capillarity of a network of a telecom is the place to be. You can have your micro, your pico data centers right next to you where you're producing that data and where you can compute that data, and it's totally 100% private to you, and nobody's going to be having access to it. And I think I remember some of the analysts are saying that by the end of 2028, we're going to be seeing worldwide something more than 2,000 AI edge network data centers. That speaks to you about what we see in the future happening, right? Like network is equals to AI infrastructure, and again, driven by the needs of our customers.
Yeah, it's almost the same game within the utility sector as well, because it's all about now how AI is going to help for powering and optimizing the energy. Like there are lots of data coming from different sides of the grid. We call it a rich data, poor information at this point, because there are tons of data captured from the different sensors of the grid, with the distribution automation, with the smart meters, with the sensors, PMUs all over places. But all these data need to be stayed in a safe environment, cyber secured environment. These are the infrastructure data. So these enterprises, these utilities want these data to be processed next to them on premise most of the time, and utilize the AI for the operations. And that's going to be the next chapter, how the operation people are going to utilize the data in a real time, because it's very sophisticated operation we are talking about, and those requires a sophisticated AI models to give them the hints what should be the next in times of the the catastrophic weather events, or something goes wrong, to prevent any type of domino effects of the outage. But they're going to need more AI power or GPU to be able to process all these AIs with these big data. And that's where I believe that where companies like Microsoft, with the Microsoft Fabric and all that, are going to play the main game here, or AWS, to support the utilities and the power generation companies.
Yeah, it is really interesting, like kind of a eat your own dog food situation, where the growth of the companies providing the infrastructure really relies on being able to leverage AI technologies really well to make the growth of the business efficient. I don't have a crystal ball, and trying to predict what the tech industry is going to do 3 years from now, I don't think a mix of Miss Cleo and the world's best Jedi could figure that out together. But there are some patterns that you can look at. And one thing, the tech industry always does really well is whatever that new tech innovation is, find a way to pair that up with a lot of use cases and monetize the hell out of it, right? And you got to monetize the heck out of it because there's so much investment there. I think back to when public cloud kind of smacked us in the face. AWS dropped. We saw these wild things that Netflix was doing with it. All these incredible stories. Companies wanted to jump on board with infrastructure as a service. Well, the buck didn't stop at infrastructure as a service, right? All these other products stacked on top of cloud technologies. We got SaaS, we got PaaS, and all of those industries blew up and became huge. We should expect the same thing from AI. It's not just the model builders and the models themselves that we're interacting with now. There are going to be entire families of applications that are leveraging those underlying models. And to the points that you were making around where telecom is building out, to me, what's really incredible is we access all that through the internet now. And the telecom industry has provided the infrastructure to support the internet in the US. There's going to be a separate system-to-system internet between all these models and these AI data centers and all the apps that are going to be leveraging them over the next several years. That's where just the demand curve then spikes again. Capacity's got to spike again. And you start to wonder, will efficiency keep up with the ability to build with the additional demand on AI? That's where I expect the tech industry is going to see its growth kind of look similar to other things in the past. The part that's gray, and it's really hard to tell what happens, is we've got two really big trends that are about to overlap on each other. We have the proliferation of AI data centers that's happening now, and as we go from training to inferencing and seeing do these products hold, and do these data centers need to be as big and power consuming as they are? And then you have quantum computing coming into the mix, where you've got a whole different hardware set. It looks like GPU deployment all over again. Technicians back out, rolling things out onto the floor, different critical environment infrastructure, but with a fraction of the power consumption needs, but wholly different cooling needs. So what happens now with that hyperscaler that committed to 70% energy consumption? They come back and they say, hey, you know what? I know we got a contract, but I really only need about 80th of what I had you build out this new power generation facility in the middle of nowhere, Texas or wherever else, to facilitate my GPU now quantum computing data center. That's the future that, there's no quite predicting it, but we do see this inflection point of two huge trends that in the next couple of years, it's going to make data center look really different all over again.
Yeah, to add to that, to your point, is with the telecom infrastructure, if these data center can really process in different states and different locations, because when it comes into the energy, we have the peak times and during the daytime, early morning, usually it's a duct shape load, and the early evening. So when it's an early evening on the East Coast, still it's like a afternoon in the West Coast. So if that load within the data centers on the East Coast that the people are using those AI models and it's a peak time of the energy can be shifted to the West Coast because the telecommunication and the speed is there and reduce the amount of the energy usage within the East Coast. That's the flexible load concept comes that how much these loads, phantom loads could be flexible and provide a demand response to the utilities and to the securing the grid.
100%. I think you're talking about quantum computing. I mean, in the telecom industry, that's going to be a massive impact because we encrypt communications in a way that in the future would be so easy to decrypt with the new quantum computing capacity, right? But I would like to touch base as well. That could be like 2, 3, maybe 4 years from now. But when I talk about what the industry is right now focusing on is like about building all these AI agents. And that comes back with something that you say, right? It's about regulation. It's about privacy. How do you make sure that the data those agents are using today is accessed, the proper way? There is nobody else taking advantage of using an agent to have access to some sensible data, right? And how do you make sure through the life cycle of that agent, even if they become dormant at some point, they're still not able to access the data that they should be accessing? So all kind of cybersecurity and compliance focus is really important in the telecom industry today because it's something that we're seeing, right? We have millions and millions of customers using the network to exchange data, to exchange all kind of communication, and that's a big area to focus on, right?
Yeah, right. This topic, I feel like we could go down a nerdy rabbit hole on it and sit on this for the whole time.
Cybersecurity, don't bring it on.
Yeah, I mean, just like one point on that, Carlos, just thinking about the implications if we double, triple, quadruple the size of the average packet because of the new encryption requirements. We're not a decade away from that. We're talking now about how quantum computing completely changes the cybersecurity landscape and protecting ourselves in that new world. I mean, is that telecom growing infrastructure footprints 3x to keep up? It's a wild world.
Yes, 100%.
Right.
Well, gentlemen, this has been an amazing conversation. Thank you for sharing your insights, your expertise, and a bit of a look into the future. We heard about the massive rate of change that's happening, the complexity, and really a little bit of the size of the prize, but would love to hear from each of you a parting thought for the audience, something to think about, maybe to stay competitive, how to stay agile, how to stay ahead of these trends. Carlos, we'll start with you.
Sure. I think for me, the future is about having, AI agents to actually kind of supercharge the talent of human beings, right? Mm-hmm. If I look into what our customers are doing or what they're heading to, and I true believer where they're going is like, we're going to see a world where you have teams of AI agents and human beings. And that means that you will have to get used to lead those teams, coach those agents, as well as you do with humans.
How do you work with them?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. How do you? But at the end of the day, you think about all the training of those agents, like when you have a team and you have to kind of lead that team and kind of supervise what they're doing, right? And that's a kind of an environment that will actually make the way we work very different, right? You may have, like, as I said, agents helping you delivering even more results that you could do before, right? So for me, the future is going to be very different. I can tell you that.
On the energy side, it's the same thing almost as the telecom, how the agents are going to help with the engineering, with the design part, or with the procurement side of the whole business, and the operation side. Operation side still is a little bit scary when it comes into the infrastructure. Of course, human needs to be more there. Just use the agents just as a tool within the toolbox. But all these Gen AI, Agent AI, the machine learning, predictive analytics are the real future tools for supporting, optimizing the grid from the utilization all the way to operation. And that's how I see the grid evolving. And on the power generation side, all this new entries into the market, companies like with the Oklo, with the small modular reactors. You don't need to build a huge infrastructure for nuclear power plant. It could be just next door in a smaller scale. And those are the new innovations which they are using the AI really to manage and operate that nuclear small reactor plant and provide energy to an AI data center, which is amazing.
Yeah. I mean, we sat here and we talked about how 3 industries are all chips in on some incredible change. We're seeing a mind-boggling level of innovation and new things coming to market. We're seeing the innovation cycle move at a blistering pace and grow at incomprehensible scale. Anyone that has previously been kind of resistant to change or sees themselves as conservative as new things come about, I would urge them to find their new, very adaptable identity. Standing against this wave is akin to standing on a beach with your arms out trying to stop a tsunami. It will blow past you and you won't even be recognized afterwards. So embrace the change. There's a lot of great value to come across all industries, not just these 3 right here, but know that there's no telling the future. You just got to be willing to adapt, stay agile, take advantage of the new things coming to market.
Ways of working are changing.
Yeah.
The actual work that's going to happen is changing, and the power behind it is evolving and changing as well. So it seems like the only constant. But gentlemen, it was a pleasure. It was really exciting to hear all of your insights on this topic, really where the industry is going, what's ahead, and how our customers and others can think about this.
It's fun.
And thank you for everyone who joined us. It was exciting to share more about this topic. And if you're interested in continuing the conversation, visit insightglobal.com to get in touch.